As promised. Let me just tweet a few things.
Do you think Mizzou will be aimed for two coaches at the end of this football season? One.
What'd you say?
So do you think Mizzou will be aimed for two coaches this season, meaning Arkansas, or do you think just one of them will get king?
Like, I think more than just Sam Pittman's getting fired?
Yeah, you think the dude at Florida?
Napier? No.
No.
You're kind of going in and out. I don't know if that's on the stream or not, but all right, we are live on YouTube as well. Let me just tweet that link in case anybody wants it. And then we'll hop in. All right, let's do it. Hey, everybody, this is Joe Langworthy here with my co-host Thomas Wolfel for episode 34 of Tailgate Talk, a 6-column sports podcast. We will be discussing a few things. We have basketball review, basketball preview, football review, football preview, and then, of course, basketball signing day was today, so figured we'd mention that at least a little bit. We'll start with that, I guess. It is National Signing Day today, November 8th, and Mizzou has officially signed the second-rated class in the country. What do you think about that, Thomas?
Not too shabby.
Yeah.
That's obviously a little bit of a surprise that he's having Lee in his coaching tenure. Obviously it's a good start, and when it comes to the recruiting people and they know what they want, if you take a look at the very specific traits they're looking at it, obviously when you can get the players that are top 50 guys shape.
Yeah. So you are breaking up just a little bit, by the way. I don't know if am I breaking up too on your end?
I'll restart this thing.
Okay. So pause for technical difficulties as we are, Thomas is going to rejoin. I don't know if anybody's listening live and that was happening to them too, but we'll get him right back in here.
Let's see how this works.
That seems better already. So,
all right, good.
I can see you better. Even that too. Good. But
hey, it's a live show.
So live show. That's the beauty of live shows is you get to live with us through some technical difficulties. But big deal. Getting the second-rated recruiting class. So of course that's 5 guys. It's T.O. Barrett, who is Rivals number 130 ranked player, 3-star guard from Oklahoma. Always good to get kids from Oklahoma that had Oklahoma offers. Can't beat that. Peyton Marshall, Rivals 99, number 99. He's a giant human being. We've talked about him before. Committed to Auburn originally. Trent Burns, 7'2" center. Can't teach height, I don't know what to say about that. Number 65 on Rivals. Number 64 also signed with us, Marcus Allen. Heard a lot about his defense. And then obviously Anor Boateng is kind of the crown jewel of the class for the moment. So really, really elite scorer out of Arkansas. So that's, who we have coming in. Shows the momentum of the program. I don't know what, like I said, I don't know what you had said during your little portion there that was breaking up. I don't know if you were repeating if I'm repeating some of what you were saying.
Specific type of player in my mind. Every single one of those, obviously the fact that, but each one's long and athletic right away. At least a couple of them will. And in year 2, to be a very happy surprise.
Right. Unfortunately, you broke up there at the end a little bit. I don't know what was going on. I don't know if it's just might not be in the cards today. But yeah, so really, really just good class. We've talked about it before, though, so we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on it unless anybody jumps in here and wants to talk about it. But yeah, so did you watch the game on Monday against Arkansas Pine Bluff?
Yes. I tuned out with about 3 minutes left, but I watched the first.
Okay.
You can't hear me. Okay.
No, I gotcha.
Okay.
I can hear you.
Yeah, I watched all but the last couple of minutes. When it got way out of hand. I thought we started off a little bit slow, but it's the first game of the season. Obviously he's planning on playing 9 or 10 guys, I bet, all year. They looked a lot like last year. I think we might have a little more talent at guard. I don't think we have quite the go-to player that we had last year with Kobe Brown, but it's way too early to make any massive declarations on the team you've got. But I think we'll at least have a better idea of what we're looking at after Friday with a good Memphis team that's already got a win under their belt as well.
Right. Yeah. One of my buddies texted me after the game and hadn't been able to watch and said, how do we look? And I said, I think very similar to last year. It's just organized chaos still. And I think it's just clear that Gates has the system that he wants to run, and that's what we're going to do. And I agree with you that, I think there's more depth of talent this year. I'm not going to say that we're as talented because I don't think, like you said, we don't have a Kobe Brown out there. But, to be fair, I'm not sure we really knew what Kobe Brown was at this time last year. So
that's true.
Maybe one of these guys, takes over and can become that. And like you said, I think Memphis on Friday will be a big test. Kind of sucks that our big 7'5" guy had to be a real terrible person and play in a tournament, that he didn't get paid for and got a harsher punishment than the team that had an FBI investigation into their cheating scandal. So
you should have just broken a real law instead of
right.
A little NCAA rule.
Right. He'd be getting $53 million as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah, there you go. No, but I do think one thing that might be a little bit of an improvement over last year is, if we run into a team that slows us down a little bit, I do think we have a handful of players that could also play a slower tempo and probably still be effective. Whereas last year, it seemed like everybody we had was kind of one-dimensional in the speed, right? That everybody had to go fast. And if they weren't going fast, they struggled at times. And I think that kind of cost us against Princeton in the NCAA tournament. But this time around, we've got a little more height. Obviously, not everyone was able to play, but we've also got guys that can are pass first and can play more around the perimeter instead of just trying to get to the basket or jacking up a three. So it could come in handy, I think, at times this year, because I mean, teams, when they come into Columbia, they're going to try to slow us down.
Right.
And, eventually we're going to have to play a slower tempo at some point in time. That's just kind of how basketball is. You don't get your way every night.
Yeah, somebody's going to succeed at slowing us down, and it's going to be just whether we can answer.
Right.
And yeah, I agree. I think there are several guys that seem to be able to create their own shot and can, play a little different style, but then also function pretty well in the
in the main
quick
system.
game.
Yep.
I think I saw somewhere that it's the second game in Mizzou history with 5 players scoring 15 plus points. So that's only happened twice. The other one was the Big 12 championship game in 2012. So little bit different stakes than that game, but still pretty cool to see. It did just seem like everybody was seemed like almost everybody was going to get to 15. Just everybody just had a little run where they would score a bunch of points right in a row, and but that was really good to see. I came away really impressed with Tamar Bates.
Yes, I agree.
Didn't really expect that from him. I thought he'd be a solid contributor. I thought he'd be similar to like what Noah Carter was last year. And he might still be. Noah Carter, I think, had a game early in the year last year where he scored like 25, and everybody thought, this guy's going to be real good. And then he's good. I'm not knocking him, but he wasn't that every night. But
yeah, I do think Bates is just his style is better set up for kind of Gates' style of play. He is extremely athletic. He clearly wants to get up and down the court, and he's got a quick first step. So, I mean, it could be a situation where he comes over from Indiana and gets plugged into a system that's just a better fit for his skill set. Mm-hmm. And next thing you know, you've got a difference maker. So,
right. And he's
definitely somebody to keep an eye on. He jumped off the page for me too.
And I really liked him and Shaw playing together. I thought they seemed to work well together and kind of feed off of each other pretty well. So thought that was, something that really stood out. Again, hard to have takeaways from Arkansas Pine Bluff. Going to need to see how that continues in this non-con schedule, which we've talked about. It's a little different than last year's. Yeah, it ramps up fast, and got a good Memphis team coming to town, minus Penny Hardaway, who also probably should have just broken real laws. But so it'll be a good test. 8 p.m. SEC Network. I think it should be fun. And I do just want to say, as somebody that was at the game on Monday, the new scoreboard looks legit. The seats are awesome. The new lighting is awesome. The light show, which, I think those are kind of pointless, but it looked cool. And, it just puts the whole presentation on another level. And I think DRF just keeps amping up the game day atmosphere and is going to make that a really good environment.
Yeah. And I think too, watching it on television, the gold seats, if there was not somebody sitting in it, it was very obvious that it was empty. Whereas the black seats, you don't necessarily see that. It's not quite as obvious. So I think, from a viewership perspective too, it'll probably help just because, when you play somebody that doesn't have name recognition and maybe we don't get quite as many butts in the seats, it's not as obvious whenever you're watching it on TV.
Right. But 11,000 for Arkansas Pine Bluff was great, and
not bad.
I think Memphis will be closer to a sellout.
It'll be full.
Yeah, it'll be full, and it'll be a lot of fun. So looking forward to that. I don't know anything about Memphis. I'm not going to pretend that I, have scouted them or anything. I'm sure they're good. I think they're similarly ranked to Mizzou. I think both Memphis and Mizzou were getting some votes. In the polls, and so in that like 26 to 35 range in terms of ranking, so should be a good game. Do wish we had Connor Vanover because I've read that Memphis has some good center So it'd be nice to have some height to fight that. But, we have some tall guys now. We don't just have the one big dork. We have
Right.
a few tall athletic kids too. So
Right. Yeah.
It's a different era of Mizzou basketball.
Yeah. If you got 12 guys that can play,
right.
Yeah, then you're going to be in good shape. So, and it sure seems like they might have that.
Yep. So, that's all we have for basketball for now. Like I've said in the past, once basketball season ramps up, we'll talk about it a little more. But for now, we're just going to stick with football because that is, I think what is on people's minds a little more right now. So not to dampen the mood, but we lost again.
Yeah, that one hurt.
Yeah.
That sucked.
But hurt more than I thought it was going to. We're playing the number one team in the country. If you go into that confident and like cocky, it's not good. Like you're gonna lose more often than not. And Georgia's won now 26 in a row. So like everybody loses to them. There's no moral victories, but there's no shame in losing to Georgia. But at the same time, as we saw from some of those stats and that graph with the bar graph that everybody's been sharing this year that I still don't really understand. We could have and maybe even should have won that game.
Yeah. It just Georgia's almost like Tiger Woods was when in his prime, where you'd get into Sunday and he wouldn't necessarily beat you, but he'd let you beat yourself, and kind of the intimidation of the round would take over. And it just seemed like, we just made too many mistakes. I didn't feel like Georgia really just, they didn't beat the brakes off of us, obviously, but I mean, you take a look at that game and we had every chance to win it. We came out at halftime tied. We were marching down the field and had them really on their heels. We were just about to score. And then, of course, our center forgets to snap the ball and ended up having to settle for a field goal, which those 4 points ended up obviously being crucial with kind of the way the game ended. And obviously the interception just seemed like a weird play. It almost felt like we were it was the big play that was going to kind of push us over the edge on the season and kind of stamp the year for us. And I think probably a lot of that was just that there's a lot of trust in Brady Cook and his decision making, and he kind of got pressured and made a weird I don't know if it was a poor decision, but it was certainly a poor throw. And of course, if you don't do that, then you still have a chance. And so I don't know, it just seemed like it was death by 1,000 cuts. And I think that was probably the most frustrating part, is you get to the end of it and think, well, shoot, if we just, if the center snaps the ball, which, I mean, it was loud there. Obviously I was at the game and it was loud, but 4 of the 5 offensive linemen heard the snap count, and the only one that didn't was the guy that was supposed to snap the ball. So obviously that's a mistake you can't make. The interception, we had a number of, defensively, a number of penalties on third down. Pass interference, I think, was questionable, but got called. And I think that was just, at least for me, that was the most, that's the part that stung, was that you left there thinking, if we would have just made the basic plays, we would have maybe have won that game. So, I don't know how you felt about it, but that was kind of the part that stung for me. I mean, if we went in there and they just kicked our butts, then it would be one thing, but it just felt like we had a chance and just couldn't quite do it.
Right. I think we had talked about it before the game, where if Georgia played their A game, we're not winning the game, no matter what we do. Georgia didn't play their A game. Georgia probably played a B game or a B plus game. And, we had the opportunity to play an A game and beat them. And it was clear that if we played our A game, throughout the game, it was clear that if we were on our game, we could win the game. We could win. We could end up victorious. But we played a B- game. We didn't play terrible. I'm not saying we played bad. We made some dumb mistakes, like you said, that lost us some points and knocked us down a few grades. But we were in the game, not even playing our best game. And so again, no moral victories. I'm not making, I'm not saying, look at us, we're so good, we lost.
We only lost by 9. Yeah.
Right. I'm not saying that, but I am saying that, I think the game was closer than 9 points.
Yep.
I don't remember exactly how that. What did we do at the end? We kind of threw.
Well, we had the ball down 27-21. Which, by the way, if you end up scoring touchdown on that first drive, it's we're down by
a field goal on the
But
last drive.
Anyway, we didn't. So anyway, we needed a touchdown. 4 minutes left, and that's when the interception.
That's when the
interception happened, and then our defense did a really good job of getting off the field. But I think they maybe picked up two first downs.
Interception on the next drive.
Yeah. But by then you're down by 2 scores, and you've just got to make something happen at that point. So I mean, we had every opportunity to, I don't know if we would have won the game, even if Georgia gets the ball back with a minute and a half left, they might still find a way to score. But we had the ball with 4 minutes left and a chance to go down and win the game. And at Georgia, that's all you can really ask for. And obviously it didn't work out for us. But again, that's why it felt like we had a chance to do it. And we had, our offense on the field with a chance to win the game for us, and just couldn't quite get it figured out.
Right. And like you said, and we have talked about off stream, it really did seem like that play, the offense was amped up about that play. They came in, and it seemed that, I'm sure that was something that they'd seen on film. They had a play in mind that they were going to, hit somebody deep, score a touchdown, gain all the momentum back, take the air out of the stadium, and win the game right there. And then it wasn't open. And then Brady panicked. And, I don't know if that's exactly what happened, but just the way the play developed, that's what it seemed like to me. Like, he looked deep, and then when it wasn't there, didn't know what to do and didn't really look at who he was throwing to. And made an awful throw.
Yeah, and too, if you watch it, he's got a dude coming off the edge, coming to kill him, and
so he had to make a decision quick.
Yeah, and I think he almost got caught in between, kind of dumping it off versus actually trying to make a throw, and then he ends up just kind of throwing it to nobody, and which ended up being their defensive lineman. So, obviously he wishes he could have that back, but again, we've lost 2 games at this point, and he's been a huge portion of the success that we've had. So when he makes a mistake like that, you can't chuck him under the bus. That's not really fair, considering a week before the season started, Mizzou fans were begging for the backup to play. But anyway, it's definitely a tough loss. But I mean, look, it's a quick turnaround. We play on CBS again on Saturday, I think, right?
Yep, CBS 2:30 against Tennessee. I think it's 13 versus 14 in the college football playoff rankings. I think we're 16th in the AP poll. Is that correct?
That sounds right.
And they're 14th or something. Another kind of crazy stat I saw on Power Mizzou is that this is the first matchup of 2 top 16 AP teams at Faroe since 1979.
Yeah, I think I saw that on Twitter. It's going to be a fun atmosphere. I mean, it's like you said, it's CBS. I think it's already sold out, right?
Yep.
And
it's also the first time, I don't know, maybe ever, that we've sold 4 games out in a row. I saw something about that as well. So which doesn't make sense to me, but I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, you'd have to go back and take a look at, I mean, I would think, right, 2013.
I forget what
What is it, 12,
somebody
13, 14, something in there.
Mizzou Athletics
But,
tweeted that, I think, or tweeted
yeah.
what the actual number was, or since it's been. But yeah, just gonna be crazy atmosphere again. These games have been a lot of fun. We've had some success and at
What have
home,
you seen
and we need the crowd.
What have you
in
seen
it.
out of Tennessee?
So, I think they're kind of figuring out their offense. I think they were struggling early. I remember seeing some throws from Joe Milton early that made you kind of question why he was a D1 quarterback. He was throwing some ducks, and when I was seeing that early in the season, I was thinking, oh boy, we're going to feast on that. I still think he's not as good as was it Hooker last year?
Yeah, Hendon Hooker.
Not as good as Hooker from last year, but he's okay. And I think the thing that really scares me, just because it's us, is he does run the ball pretty well. He can beat you with his legs. Not maybe not quite Jaden Daniels, but he's pretty stout in the run game. And they have some running backs. I think they have 2 or 3 that get some significant carries.
Yeah, they've got one guy by the last name of Wright who has 110 carries, and he's averaging 7.5 yards a carry.
Right.
I mean, that's impressive. That's to me. I mean, last year, I think honestly, I think their rushing game was probably more important than their passing game. But they had Hendon Hooker, who was good enough to carry them for a quarter or a half if they needed to with his arm. I don't think Joe Milton is that quarterback. I mean, even recently, he'll go through a drive or two, and you're just sitting there asking yourself who in the world he's trying to throw the ball to. So,
right.
Definitely the running backs you just kind of started to hit on there. If the defense can shut down the running game and make Joe Milton throw the ball, I think we're going to like where we're at the end of the game.
Yeah, I agree. I think that our pass rush does seem to kind of be coming into its own recently. I think we talked about going into the Georgia game, how they'd only, allowed something like 6 sacks. And I think we had 3 or 4 on Saturday.
We had a lot of pressure.
Yeah. And we had a lot of pressure. If I rewatched some of the Georgia game and noticed that a lot of the pressure was on just rushing 4. And so we were getting pressure without having to blitz, which is going to be, a really good thing these last 3 games, especially against Tennessee that runs a lot. You don't think about it, but if you're blitzing and they just happen to run to where you're not blitzing,
then you're in trouble.
And so if you can allow your linebackers to kind of stay back and read and react on the running game, that's only going to help you. I think the defense has a chance to really make a statement this game. I think Tennessee's offense is good, so if they score, it's not going to be, don't panic if Tennessee scores some points. But I think the defense can really prove to the world that they're good.
I think this sets up well for us. I know the last 2 times we've played them now, they've combined for 130 or 140 points.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to guess that we'll stop them until we do.
Right.
But when you think about our defense, I mean, they stopped the run first. It's obviously a priority. It's what they're best at. And that's the best part of Tennessee's offense. So it's going to be strength against strength. And if you can stop their run game, then I think, like I said before, I think, their passing game is very beatable. I mean, from a receiving standpoint, they're basically, from a statistics standpoint, at least, they're basically Mizzou without Luther Burton. I mean,
Right.
their top receiver has very similar stats to Theo Weiss, and if you go down the line, it's very similar across the board to kind of our 2 through whatever.
His name is Squirrel.
Squirrel White. Yeah, go figure that one out.
Hopefully that's a nickname.
Yeah, hopefully that's a nickname. But I mean, he is quick, and if he gets the ball in space, he could be trouble. But I just think, our defense, they've stopped the run pretty much all year. And if we can make them throw the ball, Joe Milton is prone to make mistakes. Not necessarily a ton of interceptions, but I mean, if you get it on third down and put a little pressure on him and make him throw it, there's a good chance. I mean, he could miss his target by 10 yards. I mean, that's something he just randomly does.
That's
and you're kind of looking around like, what the heck just happened? But
that's his thing is like, it's not, the quarterbacks that are throwing a lot of interceptions are missing their target by 3 feet. They're missing their target by a yard or a foot and a half. He's missing his target by 10 yards, and everybody's like,
you're right.
We didn't have a chance.
It's totally weird.
So,
it's totally weird.
He's not throwing a lot of interceptions. He only has 4 interceptions, but,
Yes. So when you see a throw like that and you're sitting there, during the game saying, man, he's just off today. No, that's just what he does. He'll throw it to the sideline and it'll go into the third row. And that's just a normal throw in the second quarter. That's just what he does.
We have a user question.
Let's do it.
So how many times has Milton been sacked? That is a good question.
I don't know for sure. Well, you look that up. I know their defense has 30 sacks on the year. I think they do have a couple defensive ends that are good. One guy has 7 sacks, another has 5. So, from our perspective, that's going to be a big piece. Is our 2 offensive tackles are going to have to keep Brady Cook clean.
Mm-hmm.
As you're pulling up the sack stats for Joe Milton.
Okay.
I'm going to guess
I'm reading this right.
9 times.
If I'm reading this right,
16. 16, okay.
Or 15, sorry. I was reading the wrong line. And they have 30 sacks total.
Yep, I had that right.
So, yeah. He's been sacked 15 times for 100 yards of lost yardage. So,
what is that? 2 sacks a game? Not quite.
Yeah,
not quite 2
sacks a game. So, and you figure they've played some blood donors. So
they've played some blood donors, but I mean, a lot of that too is they run the ball more often than they throw it,
right?
And by quite a margin.
And he's, like I said, he's mobile, so always a possibility that he escapes the pressure. So, still important to get pressure on him though, and I think that we can do that.
Yeah, and he's not going to run like Jaden Daniels. I mean, he's quick, but he's not.
Right.
Jaden Daniels has a different gear that I don't know if any other quarterback in the country has. So we should be able to chase him down. I mean, I do think a big piece of this could be whether or not Hopper's fully healthy. I mean, obviously he came in and played at times against Georgia, but you could tell he was not quite himself. So you don't typically get more healthy as the football season goes along, but hopefully he's healthy enough to be a factor.
Right. Yeah. So you were talking about their defense versus our offense. You mentioned their defensive line being pretty good. They have 30 sacks on the year. So that is, 3 or 4 a game, if my math is correct. And so, gotta watch out for that. But I do think that there's opportunity because their secondary is not the greatest, and how they match up with Burden is not ideal for them.
Right. Yeah, and we're able to, again, even against Georgia, we were able to run the ball, especially to the left side. Foster and Delgado do a great job of creating holes for Schrader, and if they're able to do that again against Tennessee, then obviously a fake handoff before a pass is going to give you just a little bit of extra time to find somebody downfield. So Yeah, there's no reason why we can't score on them. I would like to see maybe a little bit more from a little more tight end play. It seems like we've gone away from that a little bit the last couple of weeks. But yeah, their secondary is very gettable, especially with the weapons we have at receiver.
Yeah. So, think it should be a good game. Think we should be able to score a decent amount of points. And yeah, I'm thinking that we pull this one out. What do you think?
Yes, I do. I think we'll win this one. It's one of those deals where we're going to have to bounce back quick. I'm sure they're struggling after last week's loss, but if they can get off to a good start, not necessarily even a winning start, but if we can get off to a good start, then I think we're going to like our chances. So, I don't know if you want to do any predictions, but I wouldn't be surprised if we win by a couple scores, at least 10 points or 14, something like that.
Yeah. I was going to predict, the 37 to 24 kind of range.
Yeah, I think that's very possible. And I think, again, our defense has been playing much, much better. I know they struggled at times against Georgia, but they gave us every chance to win that game. And
right.
If they continue to go in the right direction, this is a Tennessee offense that can score points. But if you can slow down their run game, then
they can also be stopped.
They can be stopped. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's not the offense of last year that was going to put up points no matter what.
Yeah, we went into that game knowing we were going to have to score 50 to win, and they still scored 60 something. So,
right.
Yeah, it's definitely not that.
We didn't score 50, did we?
No, we didn't. But I mean, if they score that many on us again this time around, then we might need to come up with some solution where Drinkwitz is not the coach for that one game each year against Tennessee, and
we don't play Tennessee next year, right?
Oh, that actually that might be a good point. That might be depending on how it goes Saturday. That might be a welcome change to the schedule. But right. I think we'll win this one.
Yeah, I do too, and I think get that much closer to another 10-win season. So I think that's the goal now. Not exactly the floor, but I think anything less than that is going to feel a little bit disappointing at this point. So,
yeah, I think you got to find a way to win 9 for sure. Obviously 10 would be great too, but
yeah,
I mean 9 or 10 wins. If we win 2 out of the last 3, then you will not have complaints from me.
Yeah, I won't complain, and in 6 months I won't feel bad about it, but it'll feel in the moment it'll feel a little disappointing. But I think that should be a good weekend. Basketball game Friday night, tailgate, football game on Saturday. You can't beat that. That's the beauty of November football. So should be a good weekend.
Hope it's a fun 24 hours. Yep.
Yeah. Hopefully the people of Tennessee do not have a fun 24 hours in the state of Missouri. So
got that right.
So, but yeah, I think that's all we got today. We'll go ahead and sign off, and unless you have anything else you want to throw out there right before we leave.
Nothing at all. I think.
Wish your wife a happy birthday.
I think we hit it all. Should probably wish my wife a happy birthday. And hopefully I'm not too far in the doghouse. I'll have to make it up to her.
Yeah, so
for,
Thomas is
doing the podcast on her birthday.
Recording a podcast on his wife's birthday. He
man.
agreed to do it before he realized that was today, and whoops.
It's her first birthday as a married woman too. So I definitely am falling short. I got to get my act together.
What are you doing to make it up to her on Friday?
Well, I made steak today. Steak and green beans go. And
for those that don't know, Thomas doesn't eat steak, so that's
no, but I can cook it. And then we're gonna go to Isle of Palms, which is kind of the beach town, and get some drinks on Friday night. So
nice, that'll be fun.
We'll have a good time.
Yeah, well, happy birthday to Katie, and enjoy. But yeah, so that's it for us. Thanks for listening, and thanks to my dad for sending us a question. So,
Great listener.
right. Number one listener right now. But all right.